So I wanted to see at this point if there's any sort of um, evidence where we can prove that after September the 10th, 2011, that there were images that showed that Nut and Trevity-Nev-Nev weren't married. And as you can see, when you do Google all this pictures with Trevity-Nev-Nev and Nut, that there's always an emphasis on the ring and there's always a ring. And that's interesting. So you can see here that this is from Daily Express. And if you look, all the pictures that are zooming in for the ring to prove that she was married to Trevity-Nev-Nev are always British media, and they're always zooming in on the ring. To remember as well the narrative that you were sold. So basically, at first they only had one wedding in September 2011, and Trevor Engelson's father supposedly wed them in Jamaica Inn. And I think then the questions arose of that's a foreign marriage, and people didn't think that would be legally binding back in America, so people started raising some questions. And then the whole marriage then came into the narrative of I think it was August, wasn't it? In August, which I've already debunked in that video before, that they were married there first, and then they went to September for like a party, which doesn't particularly really make much sense, especially that you were getting married locally anyway in the town hall. So they supposedly, along with the narrative, they were married for just 1 year and 11 months. They were married from September, well, no, actually 2 years, because they were married officially August 2011 to August 2013, and the divorce went through August 2013, citing irreconcilable differences. I'm saying it wrong. Irreconcilable differences. Sorry, my brain has gone to complete mush. Sorry. Let's continue. So that's just a narrative to bear in mind. So after they got married, or when they came back from the honeymoon in January 2012, which is also odd, right? So you've got a wedding and honeymoon spanning from August 2011 up until January 2012. So what is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. 4 months from first wedding to honeymoon. And the excuse was career, their job and shooting suits or some shit like that. Doesn't really make any fucking sense. So anyway, and they were married and living happily ever after until long distance got to them, even though I have also proven to you that Nut wasn't living in Canada. She said so herself in that interview on that TV show, that she was in fact, if Trump got voted in, that she would just have to stay in Canada because she shoots there for suits. She'll just choose to stay there if Trump gets voted in, and that was a lot earlier on. So that means she wasn't living there. She was just staying there temporarily while she was filming Suits, which is funny because she was meant to be dating Corey Vitiello at that time as well, regarding that TV interview. So then that doesn't even make sense as well, the fact that there was no long distance troubles because, well, Nut was only moving over there to shoot the show, and then she'd go back to LA anyway. But there you go. Start searching for social media images of Nut in 2012, because at least I know if there were any images taken by fans or by friends or by interviewers, that they would be original, authentic, and are not photoshopped or influenced by current events and the narrative. So I find, I mean, I already knew this because of my research for, over a year, but in late October 2012, Nut went to Hong Kong to do some, like, a solo PR tour on Suits and to have interviews. And she had an interview with E! News Asia, and the interviewer was Dom Lau, and she arrived October the 29th, and I think this is October the 30th. She was, October 31st, 3:35 a.m. So that's Aussie time. So I'm guessing it was the 30th that she was interviewed. A very interesting point to make is E! News Asia no longer becomes E! News Asia. It kind of shuts down by late November 2012, which isn't that really weird? So you had this interview with Nut by October the 30th. So not really a lot of people. You're not there for a long time doing this stuff. And then you finish up only less than a month later. I know, I think it becomes E! Online Asia, but at the same time, that's interesting. So the interview with Dom Lau is no longer available. You can still search on YouTube through E! Online Asia all of E! News Asia's interviews. But this interview just completely vanished and has been deleted from what I can see, because I can't find it whatsoever. And it's definitely not on YouTube. But there are still some remnant images of this interview. And I find through E! News Asia this image of Nut having the interview with Dom Lau. And then I decide to zoom in. And even though it's blurry, I can see that Nut doesn't have a wedding ring on. And this is October 2012. So just over a year since she's been married to Trevity-Nev-Nev. So this is still meant to be all good. And she's meant to be completely, fully, 100% happy and married. So I just opened it up here so you can see that on the left-hand side, there's no ring on her hand or her finger. So then I think to myself, well, are there more images that I can find where that year where she isn't wearing a ring? I'll also let you know that the same tour in Hong Kong, she's caught not wearing a ring, and in a lot clearer picture. So this was also shown on social media. And if you see here, there is no ring. So December 2012, the magazine that came out for Regard magazine, Nut did a photo shoot for that magazine, and I wanted to see if I could find any photo without a ring. And so I find a photo of the Regard magazine shoot, and she's not wearing a ring. I mean, I know this sounds so silly, me simply just saying no ring, but there's no ring. A lot earlier in the year of 2012, in May, Nut went to a USA Network upfront presentation, and I checked to see this photo that's here that has nothing to do with the now stock photos you can get. And if you look here, she doesn't have a ring on either. Now, at this point, I'm going, well, is there anything I can compare with these events, such as this event here in the USA Network up front, where they've photoshopped a ring in? And even the interview with Dom Lau in Hong Kong. Here is a photo of the Dom Lau interview, now by a Instagram account called _Duchess _ Sussex. So I'm sure that someone has given this image to this account to promote. And this is a 2023 article, by the way. So this is way, way, way ahead of what we're seeing, what was the original image or images in 2012. And what you see here, funnily enough, is that Nut now has a ring on her finger. So they've photoshopped a ring in to make it look like she was married. That's a very, very big ring. That wasn't the one that's being shown either. I go to Alami, whatever the hell, website to see what stock images are now available for that May 2012 USA Network upfront presentation, to see if there is any Photoshop involved regarding her ring. What do you know? What do you know that the same event, she's now wearing a ring? These photos have been photoshopped to make her look married and to go with the narrative that she was married to Trevity-Nev-Nev when she never was. We've now debunked the divorce, the 2 weddings, and now the duration of their supposed marriage. I hope you just get to understand how big of a fraud this is around the world. You've got all these different stock images of Nut during this time with events. You've got media. You've got so many events that have taken place, and they're all photoshopped to support this fake narrative. Do you realize how big this system is and who we're talking about here, who we're uncovering? You think this is all about Nut and Todge being deceptive? You're still thinking that. This is from the Daily Mail. Okay? She now wears rings. I mean, the rings change. But they're rings. And we know that didn't happen. This one's a good one. Complete photoshops. I think we can now safely say that Nut was never married and she never divorced Trevity-Nev-Nev. Thanks, guys.